My name is Jake, and today I am answering a request from one of my very good friends who asked me to review Queen's one and only A Night at the Opera. Nothing about this band or this album needs any introduction, but I'm going to give it one anyway because I am nothing if not fair. I heard this album around the tender age of 12, and it rocked my worlds, along with pretty much anything else I heard by Queen around that time. But I mean, for anyone just, I think, getting into music, this album is absolutely pivotal. And for the 0.0000001% of you that are unfamiliar with Queen, they are one of the most beloved rock bands formed in England, I believe around 1970, consisting of none other than Freddie Mercury on vocals, Brian May on guitar, John Deacon on bass, and Roger Taylor on drums. One of the most classic lineups for any band ever. This is, of course, the band's fourth studio album, released November 21st, 1975, and it was apparently the most expensive album ever made at the time, which is really kind of funny because the band was going through some terrible financial issues previously around this time, primarily due to poor management. Tale as old as time as far as rock and roll is concerned. But they did manage to get a hold of Elton John's manager, John Reed, and he agreed to manage the band, and he told them, quote, go into the studio and make the best record you can make. And so they did. This album was a huge turning point for Queen, sonically. You know, this is really, I think, where they found their sound, like, as a whole. I mean, obviously they had experimented in the past, but they were mainly a hard rock band through and through. Here, they were not confined to one thing at all. They are all over the place, and they make it all work fantastically. That's a word, yeah. Okay. I mean, it sounds like they experimented with just about any musical style they could on this record. And, they had success before, obviously, with the song Killer Queen. But this is really the album that launched Queen into the spotlight. I think mainly because, this is the album that Queen knew and the world knew what this band was about. And now, without any further ado, I don't know why I'm doing this accent. Onto the songs. Track 1, Death on Two Legs, and in parentheses, dedicated to... ... The dedicated to in question is, of course, their ex-manager, Norman Sheffield, who cheated them out of thousands of dollars. He was furious when he heard this song for obvious reasons and actually sued the band for defamation, though I believe it was settled out of court. But, I mean, it doesn't change the fact that he had one of the coldest diss tracks ever written about him. I mean, this is one of the best FU songs ever written for anyone, by anyone. I mean, not only is it like a super, strong declarative statement, but it also it manages to set the tone perfectly. I mean, not that it's like the rest of the album is this angry, but it's definitely this sort of operatic and diverse. I mean, the lyrics are really vicious. I mean, Brian May apparently felt just terrible singing them too, so I mean, that should tell you something. And I mean, he makes up for it by just his guitar sounds just pissed. And Freddie's especially attitude on this song is just absolutely biting. It is definitely one of the most raucous songs Queen ever did, and I love every bloody second of it. Track 2, Lazing on a Sunday Afternoon. This one's a short little ditty about someone who basically lives for Sunday afternoon. If you've ever heard the Easy Beat song Friday on My Mind, it's basically that song, just with Sunday afternoon. Different strokes for different folks. I like this one. This one's got a very sort of classy feel to it, and I love Freddy's vocal on this. It very much shows off his sort of strictly operatic side. He usually, sort of adjusts it a bit just to fit in with, the rock stuff, but this one does not call for that. So it's a very nice way of showing that he is one of the most diverse artists of our time, in my opinion. And the effect is just brilliant. Most of you know that, it's just, him singing through two headphones in a metal can. But, I mean, it sounds like it's being sung through an old radio, and that's obviously the vibe he was going for. And I think it works perfectly. And it transitions very well into the next song. Track 3, I'm in Love with My Car. Yes. Roger's masterpiece. I'm gonna go on a limb and say I actually kind of like this song.
You what?
I don't know. It's a good song. I mean, it's fun. It's entertaining in the true Queen spirit. I mean, the topic of the song is in the title, along with plenty of innuendos to go around. But, I mean, it's good. For those of you who have seen the movie Bohemian Rhapsody, you saw that Roger threatened to throw the coffee maker at the band for kind of bashing the song a little bit. That, to my knowledge, that's not exactly what happened. What actually happened was, and most of you know the story, but I'm going to say it anyways because it is one of my absolute favorite tales in rock and roll. It is priceless. This dude locked himself in a cupboard until Freddy agreed to make it the B-side to Bohemian Rhapsody. He is so extra. This band is so extra. I know that's really millennial terminology, and I don't use that often, but I mean, can you come up with a better term? You can't. The only term that you can use to describe a man who has a feel for his automobile is extra as Track 4, You're My Best Friend. This is such a classic song. That Wurlitzer piano, the minute you hear that, you instantly get that sort of fuzzy feeling. It's indescribable. This is the first song that John Deacon wrote for this band. And I'm going to talk about John Deacon a little bit. Not only is he one of the greatest bass players in rock and roll who wrote some of the most iconic bass lines, he wrote some of the band's best material. I mean, seriously, You and I, Spread Your Wings, Need Your Loving Tonight, I Want to Break Free, and my personal favorite, In Only 7 Days. This guy does not get the credit he deserves as a songwriter. He is so... I can't describe it. He has like this sort of nostalgic vibe, I guess that's the word, to his songwriting. And a lot of those songs are my favorites on their respective albums. I mean, it's John Deacon wrote one of the best pop songs ever written on his first try. That tells you just about everything. Track 5, 39. This is a Brian May song where he sings the lead vocals, and he sounds really great here. I love his voice, to be honest. This song has a very folky vibe, which a lot of his songs seem to have, the ones that he sings on, and really, it fits him so well. It's such a nice balance. This is also a sci-fi tale, as which Brian May is also very into, as in he's a literal astrophysicist. I really love the emotional storytelling here. It's recounting the tales of a group of explorers, and it's basically like, if any of you have seen the movie Interstellar, when I was reading what Brian May said about this song and what it's about, it does kind of seem like the plot of Interstellar. Am I wrong? You're gonna tell me I'm wrong? But I mean, it's Interstellar before Interstellar. That's how I like to think of this song. Also, fun fact, this was George Michael's favorite Queen song, and I believe he even performed it at the Freddie Mercury tribute concert. And I mean, I could see why. His voice fits the song very, very well. Track 6, Sweet Lady. This one is a rocker, especially the outro where the whole band just goes absolutely insane. I really, really like this one. Freddy, this is another one where Freddy sounds absolutely just furious. He definitely one of his most passionate vocals on this album, for sure. And I mean, the song is about kind of like a quarreling couple, and I'm sure Freddie could probably relate, which is why his vocal is so heartfelt on this. I mean, he did blow his voice out the night before he performed on SNL because he was in a screaming match with his boyfriend at the time. So, I'm sure at one point or another, it resonated a bit. Also, there's no way I wasn't going to talk about this song without talking about the greatest lyric in the history of rock and roll. You call me sweet like I'm some kind of cheese. Bob Dylan could never. Track 7, Seaside Rendezvous. There is a lot to unpack here in these 2 minutes, but I mean, it's so worth it. It's so vintage sounding. Like, I can absolutely picture this in, like, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers musical. When I said earlier that they experimented with just about any musical style they could, I mean, there's a literal kazoo section in this song. There is a kazoo section, and they somehow managed to pull it off. This is definitely one of those songs, like, upon first hearing the album, I always thought it was just like, a joke song. It's a throwaway. I really kind of like it now. It's just, over time, you get the gist of what this song and the whole album generally is about. And it's entertaining, it's still funny, but it works. Track 8, The Prophet Song. Unbelievable song. This is a just monster of a song. It's so weird to describe a Queen song as underrated, but this is the definition of. This, if they didn't make Bohemian Rhapsody, I would call this their magnum opus. That's how much I love this song. It's been referred to as Ryan's Bohemian Rhapsody, and I can totally see why. He, I believe, wrote this about like a dream he had about this great earth-destroying flood and a prophet, so to speak, sort of foretelling of it. This is one of, if not the most epic song Queen ever did. I remember hearing this for the first time on my little, CD player, and I could not believe what I was hearing. I had never heard anything like it, as with most of this album, but I mean, it just rocked my world completely. I mean, it is an epic by all definitions. it starts off, with Brian's very delicate playing, which I love, and then Freddie sort of softly singing. I knew right then that I was in for a treat. And I mean, this song shows off Freddie's vocal range very well, in my opinion. And, my favorite part of the song, obviously, is what Freddie would refer to as the operatic section. Um, and it's created using the probably some of the earliest tape delay effects, and it was extremely innovative for the time. I mean, when they say, this was the most expensive album, I could definitely see this being, you know, this song being a reason for that. Obviously, there's various reasons, but this song is, I mean, it's so grandiose sounding, and, dynamics in music, common theme, but when it just kicks right back in from the operatic section to the rest of the song, and it just is heavier and more insane sounding than previously, it is one of the most heart pounding moments in music for me. It is pure adrenaline. Track 9, Love of My Life. This is undoubtedly one of the most beautiful songs I have ever heard in my life. It is, I mean, it is to me one of the most immaculate songs ever recorded. It's, I mean, it was written for Mary Austin, who I think was Freddie's soulmate. Really, I mean, it's so blatantly obvious. I mean, when they weren't together, she was absolutely, for lack of a better term, his best friend. And um this is the best Freddie's voice has sounded for me. I mean, he has never sounded so achingly pure and just so insanely raw. His voice on this is like, I want to put it in a bottle and just save it. It's so precious. And honestly, when the harmonies kick in, this song almost moves me to tears every time. And obviously, Brian's solo at the end is just so, it's short and sweet. Those are, I love long solos, but I mean, when they're done right and they're short and sweet, nothing better. Track 10, Good Company. Um, well, yeah. I kind of don't like this song at all. It pains me to say that, yeah, especially for an album as otherwise perfect as this, because I love Brian May and his voice for that matter so much, but I can't be the only one that feels like this doesn't belong on the album. It it almost throws the vibe. I can't stand that word anymore, but you know what I'm trying to say. The overall, I guess, tone of the album throws it off almost completely for me, and it doesn't match at all. And for an album that's kind of purposefully not matching tonally for any of the songs, that's saying a lot. It just doesn't fit. This song just doesn't do it for me. I'm sorry. If you like this song, hey, more power to you. As Liam Gallagher would say, it's not for me, mate. Track 11, Bohemian Rhapsody. I am not going to go in depth for this song for obvious reasons. Reason number one, every human being that has been alive on this planet at some time since this song's inception has heard this song not only, but knows that this is not so much a song. I just felt so weird just now calling it a song. So much as it is a visceral experience. That's really what this song is at heart. Reason number 2, everyone's seen Bohemian Rhapsody by now. And even if you haven't, you know how this song came about. You know, if you know this song, you know every single detail about this song. Reason number 3, if I were, let's say, to go in depth on this piece, I would need to do an entire video on it. I'm talking like analyze every single lyric, every movement, every chord progression, what time Freddie Mercury woke up to record this song. I'd have to dissect it limb from limb, piece by piece, note by note, and believe me, there's a million bajillion videos of those. I'd be happy to add to that whole scene, but I mean, it just feels unfair to this song by giving it the same treatment as the other songs, if that makes any sense. It deserves so much more. This is one art piece, that's what I'm going to call it now, an art piece that deserves at the best, the most quality treatment. Not that the other songs don't. They're beautiful in their own way. I adore them with every fiber of my being. I think if you are one of the many, many, many people that have heard Bohemian Rhapsody, you would agree with every single word I'm saying. I'll say this, because this song does deserve something. I discovered Queen from that Drake and Josh episode. You know the one. And I kind of stumbled upon this song sort of by accident. Just, fumbling through YouTube looking for Queen songs. And I remember that I liked it a lot. But I didn't know exactly what to make of it, so to speak. And it's because that this is the song, if I had to pinpoint, this is the song that showed me that music can be more than just, a 3-chord pop song. This showed me that music can be more than, what is heard or broadcast on the radio. Even though this, broadcasts nonstop on the radio, but you get my general message. It showed me that music can be bigger than itself, if that makes any sense. That's why I say it transcends. This is a transcendent piece, and I think that's all I can add, really, that I'm sure has been added, but it bears repeating. Track 12, final track, God Save the Queen. This is, of course, just the British national anthem, only recorded by Queen, which makes me wonder why this isn't played everywhere instead of the British national anthem. Queen are kind of the most beloved English rock band besides the Beatles, I would think. But that's just me. Overall, this album is an essential for anyone who is interested in music to any degree. I think if you are a music fan, you need to experience this album at least once. You see it on every greatest album of all time list, and for a good reason. This is one that absolutely is worth being on every single, list. It transcends, I know I've been using that term a lot, but that's the best, most accurate way I can describe it. It transcends really any list, any art. This album is its own beast, and uh, when it's over, all you're going to want to do is start it again. It is such a visceral experience. Thank you guys so much for watching this. I'm assuming this is going to be a very long video. So if you've made it here, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have any requests that you want me to talk about or review, music or movie related, drop them down below in the comments. My name is Jake. I'll be back.